Once again, it's me, Shannon Johnson, bold soldier for Christ, watchman on the wall for the Lord. As I was praying to the Lord last night, I asked him, could you show me a dream or a prophetic event? And as he allowed me to go to sleep, he did give me a dream. And in this dream, this helicopter was picking me up, and then it made 2 other stops. The next stop, it picked up Hillary Clinton. And then the final stop, it picked up Donald Trump. And we were all in the back of this helicopter, talking and laughing for some reason, but I couldn't make out the conversation. And then I heard them both say, meet our commander-in-chief. And when the person had looked back with these sunglasses on, it was Barack Hussein Obama. And he was laughing with them for a moment, but when he saw me, his face became stern and serious. And for some reason, the Lord allowed me to read his thoughts. And he was saying, why are you still talking about me? Why are you still exposing me? And then the Lord woke me up. And the Lord is making it be known to me that Barack Obama is about to step into his new role as Commander-in-Chief of the whole world. If you guys notice, he's making appearances and his name is being brought up in the headlines again. We know a couple of weeks ago that he was still considered Commander-in-Chief of the United States. And last week, or this week, the state of Chicago is making his birthday a national day. And we also know that Hillary Clinton is making headlines again, as she wants to be an ordained minister. And we also know that Donald Trump, a video surfaced of him speaking about the North Korean War back in 1999. So we are starting to see the one world government being formed through certain individuals. And the Holy Spirit is warning us in this final hour of people and who they really are. Use discernment, folks. Things are changing. Obama's not going anywhere. And Hillary and Trump, they all work together. And they know this. These are distractions and decoys. I ask you guys to please take this to the Lord in prayer. Jesus is on his way. Let's do our very best to be ready. I love you guys. Shalom.
Our society changed laws and opened the circle of opportunity and rights wider and wider for more Americans. We revved up the engines of innovation and imagination. We turned back a tide of intolerance and embraced inclusion. The we who did those things were more than those in power who wanted to change course. It was millions of ordinary citizens, especially young people, who voted, marched, and organized. Now, of course, today has some important differences. The advance of technology, the impact of the internet, our fragmented media landscape make it easier than ever to splinter ourselves into echo chambers. We can shut out contrary voices, avoid ever questioning our basic assumptions. Extreme views are given powerful microphones. Leaders willing to exploit fear and skepticism have tools at their disposal that were unimaginable when I graduated. And here's what that means to you, the class of 2017. You are graduating at a time when there is a full-fledged assault on truth and reason. Just log on. Just log on to social media for 10 seconds. It will hit you right in the face. People denying science, concocting elaborate, hurtful conspiracy theories about child abuse rings operating out of pizza parlors, drumming up rampant fear about undocumented immigrants, Muslims, minorities, the poor, turning neighbor against neighbor and sowing division at a time when we desperately need unity. Some are even denying things we see with our own eyes, like the size of crowds.
Starts out with Bill Gates.
We can do something, that we can do it. And when all of you stand up and say this is something, that spirit is infectious. And it's exactly what we need right now. We do face extraordinary challenges. You've heard many of them in your discussions today. You know the nature of these challenges from your work. Growing economic inequality, a changing climate, terrorism, mass migration, still too much extreme poverty, still too many girls who are denied an education, the rise of nationalism and xenophobia, and a politics that says it's not we but us and them, politics that threatens to turn good people away from the kind of collective action that has always driven human progress. So these are real challenges, and we can't sugarcoat them. They're going to take a long time to solve. But that can't discourage any of us from the belief that individually and collectively, we can make a difference. We can make things better. And rather than be daunted by those challenges should inspire us and excite us, because it gives us an opportunity to make our mark on the world in ways that we haven't even yet scratched the surface of. We have to reject the notion that we're suddenly gripped by forces that we cannot control. We've got to embrace the longer and more optimistic view of history and the part that we play in it. And if you are skeptical of such optimism, stance on the successes of the previous generation. It's like a relay race that we're running. Each generation reaches up, standing on that previous generation, and bends that arc of history in the direction of more freedom and more opportunity and more justice. That's why I spent so much time when I was president, convening young leaders on every continent that I visited. That's why in my post-presidency, my emphasis is going to be on training the next generation of leaders to take their own crack at changing the world through the Obama Foundation, which will be based in Chicago, but will have projects and programs and digital networks all across the globe. And I'm hoping I get a chance to work with some of you, because I have great faith in you, just as I know Bill and Melinda have great faith in you. And I'm certain that if you keep pushing forward, then America and the world are going to be just fine. Thank you very much.
At their best, our colleges and universities are free market places of ideas, embracing a diversity of perspectives and backgrounds. That's our country at our best, too. An open, inclusive, diverse society is the opposite of an antidote to a closed society where there is only one right way to think, believe, and act. Here at Wellesley, you've worked hard to turn this ideal into a reality. You've spoken out against racism and sexism and xenophobia and discrimination of all kinds. And you've shared your own stories. And at times, that's taken courage. But the only way our society will ever become a place where everyone truly belongs is if all of us speak openly and honestly about who we are, what we're going through. So keep doing that. And let me add that your learning, listening, and serving should include people who don't agree with you politically. A lot of our fellow Americans have lost faith in the existing economic, social, political, and cultural conditions of our country. Many feel left behind, left out, looked down on. Their anger and alienation has proved a fertile ground for false promises and false information. Their economic problems and cultural anxiety must be addressed, or they will continue to sign up to be foot soldiers in the ongoing conflict between us and them. The opportunity is here. Millions of people will be hurt by the policies, including this budget, that is being considered. And many of those same people don't want dreamers deported or health care taken away. Many don't want to retreat on civil rights, women's rights, and LGBT rights. So if your outreach is rebuffed, keep trying. Do the right thing anyway. We're going to share this future. Better do so with open hearts and outstretched hands than closed minds and clenched fists. And third,
this is my third video on prophetic dreams that I have been having. In the last year, I have had 3 dreams about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. The first dream I had about Hillary Clinton, she was a green dragon. She was looking for something and she wanted to destroy it. I ran to the mountains to hide, and there I found a young boy who had this thing that she was trying to destroy. We ran deeper into the mountains, and there was a cabin. As we went into the cabin, I found her husband, actually, Bill Clinton, hiding there. And he told us that she was not always this way. He was even afraid of her at that point, though. And we ran, knowing that she was getting closer. We ran deeper into the woods, deeper up the mountain. And I looked down on this town, on this group of houses, and I could see this green glow wherever she had been. It was just leaving a trail where she had been and where she was, so I could see where she was at. And she had a small army with her. They were going house to house looking for this thing that she wanted to destroy, and they were burning houses as it went. The next dream I had about Hillary Clinton, she was standing there with some people, and I saw another group of our military men, a small group of military men. She had their pictures and their personal information and their location, where they were going to be, and she handed this paper to the enemy so that the enemy could kill our own men.
The power to people along, even people who aren't necessarily on your wrestling start. Talk to us a little bit about how you think it's around the world and the power of this now, and what leaders can learn.
Well, I'd make a couple of observations. Number one is that most big change, most human progress is driven by young people who don't know any better, figure, why can't we do something different? Old people get comfortable or cranky or protective of their status or set in their ways. There's a reason why, if you look at, for example, here in the United States, the civil rights movement, the leaders of those movements were in their 20s. Dr. King was 26 when he started, 39 when he was killed. And if you canvass the world. Oftentimes, that is the impetus. People asking in ways that I think are familiar to many, not why not, or not why, but why not? Why do things have to be the way they are? So that's point number one, that the young people, I think, can make an enormous difference. Number two.
Get any understanding. So here's a dream. I had a dream that Hillary Clinton was stepping out of a jet plane, like one of those, really fancy, nice ones, and she was stepping out. It was like kind of a airport kind of room, but like really nice, and there was a ton of TV reporters, flashing, cameras, putting with video cameras, like trying to interview her, microphones everywhere, and then there was big screens everywhere that were showing the last time that she had been in this country that she had just landed in, that it was really bad, that she was not welcomed, she was attacked by these people, and the people were of Asian descent. I do not know Korean, Japanese, Chinese, I don't know. So that's all I'm gonna say is that they were Asian. And so Hillary Clinton was really nervous. And I was just witnessing this whole thing going down, and I could feel the nervousness. Like I could almost see what was going inside of her head. Like she was so nervous stepping out. And so she went through this room where there was all these reporters and, all the TV screens, and she was going out towards a runway kind of platform thing. I guess it'd be kind of something that someone would step out on, like a PR kind of little walkabout where people could take pictures. Okay, so she starts going down this runway, and she's so nervous. Her knees start buckling, and she's almost like getting faint. She just like can hardly stand it. And there's all kinds of, Asian people. There's not one other kind of ethnicity there. It's just all Asian, and they've all got cameras. They're all watching her as she's walking up to an Asian woman, and this Asian woman is big, like not big like fat or anything, like big, like powerful, very regal, and she had like an entourage around her that were very close, like they would not go very far from her, and she was just standing there kind of like with a stoic look, like you couldn't tell if she was mad or whatever. But Hillary Clinton was dreading going up to this woman, and she finally made it up to her, and she was so nervous. Her knees like buckled underneath of her, and she collapsed and fell into this woman's chest. And this they weren't like talking to each other. This is so weird. It was almost like ESP. Okay, so Hillary was asking for her forgiveness because of her infidelity. And then I had this vision within this dream of Hillary looking like she was having an affair with this Asian woman's husband. And she was begging her for forgiveness and crying. And the big, strong Asian woman kind of like embraced her. And she kind of like had this little smile. And she's like, it's okay. You're one of us now. You passed the test or the initiation kind of thing. This was like what the thoughts that she was like sending to Hillary Clinton, and there was so much relief. And Hillary, as this Asian woman, this strong, powerful Asian woman that represented these Asian people, she just embraced her. And it was just like such relief. This was the end of the dream. I woke right up, And
Wills with US President Donald Trump over its nuclear weapons program, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has overseen a major shake-up of his government, promoting his sister to the nation's top decision-making body. Kim Yo-jong replaces Kim Jong-un's aunt, who was a key decision-maker when former leader Kim Jong-il was alive. She's the youngest of Kim Jong-il's 7 children and the current leader's younger sister. The promotion marks a return to favour 2 years after she was fired as Kim's propaganda chief due to a series of security blunders at rallies around the country. Meanwhile, in a speech to a meeting of the powerful Central Committee of the ruling Workers' Party, Kim said his nuclear weapons were a powerful deterrent which guaranteed North Korea's sovereignty. North Korea is due to celebrate the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea on Tuesday and is believed to be preparing another missile test for the occasion.
To the White House after a weekend at Trump National, the golf course he owns in Bedminster, New Jersey. Earlier in the day, the president appeared to contradict his own Secretary of State on whether or not diplomacy could resolve the crisis over North Korea's nuclear program. The president tweeting, being nice to Rocket Man, that's what he refers to, Kim Jong-un, says hasn't worked in 25 years. Why would it work now? Clinton failed, Bush failed, and Obama failed. I won't fail. Yesterday, while in Beijing, the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, said the U.S. has back channels for communicating with Pyongyang and is using them to gauge the North's willingness to talk. But Mr. Trump tweeted today that Tillerson is wasting his time trying to negotiate.
You say that you, as president, would be willing to launch a preemptive strike against North Korea's nuclear capability.
First, I'd negotiate. I would negotiate like crazy, and I'd make sure that we tried to get the best deal possible. Look, Tim, a man walks up to you in a street in Washington, because this doesn't happen, of course, in New York, but if a man walks up and puts a gun to your head and says, give me your money, wouldn't you rather know where he's coming from before he had the gun in his hand? And these people, in 3 or 4 years, are going to be having nuclear weapons. They're going to have those weapons pointed all over the world, and specifically at the United States. And wouldn't you be better off solving this really potentially unbelievable, and the biggest problem, I mean, we can talk about the economy, we can talk about social security. The biggest problem this world has is nuclear proliferation. And we have a country out there in North Korea, which is sort of wacko, which is not a bunch of dummies, and they are going out and they are developing nuclear weapons. And they're not doing it because they're having fun doing it, they're doing it for a reason. And wouldn't it be good to sit down and really negotiate something, and ideally negotiate? Now, if that negotiation doesn't work, you better solve the problem now than solve it later, Tim. And you know it, and every politician knows it, and nobody wants to talk about it. Jimmy Carter, who I really like, and he went over there, it was so soft. These people are laughing at us.
The former general of the Air Force, Merrill McPeak, the former Secretary of Defense Les Aspin, said you could not launch a preemptive strike against North Korea because the nuclear fallout could be devastating to the Asian Peninsula.
I'm not talking about us using nuclear weapons. I'm saying that they have areas where they're developing missiles.
Taking out their
Do you
nuclear
know that this
potential
country
would create
Tim,
a fallout.
Tim, do you know that this country went out and gave them nuclear reactors, free fuel for 10 years? We virtually tried to bribe them into stopping, and they're continuing to do what they're doing, and they're laughing at us saying we're a bunch of dummies. I'm saying that we have to do something to stop.
But if the military told you, Mr. Trump, we can't do this.
Give me 2 names. You're giving me 2 names. I don't know. Do you want to do it in 5 years when they have warheads all over the place, every one of them pointing to New York City, to Washington, and every one of our... Is that what you want to do it? Or do you want to do something now? You better do it now.